Recently, someone asked me this question and they were interested in finding out the benefits of a Cricut Access subscription versus the benefits of a Canva Pro subscription. Now, I know we're not quite comparing apples to apples here, but a lot of people use these two programs alongside using their Cricut. So we're going to talk a little bit about them and whether or not you should have the subscription for these programs, for one of them, for both of them, for neither. But if we're just meeting right now, hi, my name is Nisha. Welcome to Little Craft Nest. About 7 months ago, I did make a video about whether or not Cricut Access is worth it or not. So if you're still having trouble deciding, by the end of this video, you should go check out that one next. And I'll leave that video linked down below in the description. Now, Cricut Design Space and Canva can be used absolutely free. You do not need a subscription to use these platforms. However, like with most things, when you pay for the subscription, you get so much more included. Now, to be totally transparent, I do have a subscription for both these services. I pay for them myself. They have not been gifted to me, and I love both of these platforms for different reasons. So we're going to talk about that. However, on the other side of that, I do want to let you know I have used Cricut Design Space many years without having Cricut Access, and I did use Canva for a while without the Canva Pro subscription. However, having the subscription for both these services has made my life so much easier, especially as a content creator and a crafter. But just because I have these subscriptions, they may not be what you're looking for or what you need. So let's dive into that a little more. So when we're looking at both of these platforms, Cricut Design Space was fully intended to be used with your Cricut machine. You cannot use Cricut Design Space with any other machine or with any other program, but that does create a disadvantage if you want to use some of the elements from Cricut Design Space in another program. You won't be able to do that. Canva is a platform that wasn't designed for a specific machine. It is more of an all-encompassing program, meaning you can use it for so many different things. Canva can be used for making YouTube thumbnails, which I use all the time. It can be used for editing videos. You can make posters with it, but you can also use it to make SVGs and files that you use with your Cricut machine.
Daddy left work and is on his way home. He will be home in 18 minutes.
And my husband will be home soon. Thanks for letting me know, Siri. Now, with the subscription for Canva and Cricut, both of them offer extra fonts you can use, extra images, and some extra features. Some of the features may be the same, such as they both have a background remover, and there could be some different features for each as well. If you're brand new to Cricut and you want the easier route of creating everything within one program and not having to take things from other programs and bring them into Design Space, I would definitely recommend the Cricut Access subscription because everything is there right in front of you. And usually when you get your first Cricut, you're still learning the Design Space program. So you don't want to have to go out and learn another platform as well. So I would get comfortable with using Design Space before you try to use another program. However, you could be into graphic designing, you could know all sorts of programs, and learning Design Space is just a breeze to you. And in that case, you may not want Cricut Access at all because you're using all these elements from other programs already that you can incorporate into Cricut Design Space. Now, like I said earlier, you don't need the subscription. That is up to you, but you will be limited in the amount of fonts, images, and functions that you can use. So if you are just using the free version of Cricut Design Space, you'll probably come to a point where I can't find the image I want for free. So I'm either gonna have to buy that image separately on Design Space, get the subscription, or import that image from somewhere else. So for example, one thing I love about Cricut, and Canva has this as well, is where you have contributing artists who already have projects created that you can use for yourself. Let's say you were looking for a fishing card for your dad. So you type in fishing card for dad, and you can find that project in Design Space. You can use that project exactly as is. You can edit it and make it your own. But if that project has a number of elements that were from the Cricut Access subscription and you didn't have Cricut Access, you would have to pay for each of those elements. And your card could end up costing you $12 just in designs. So at that point, it may be just worth it to have the subscription, especially if you're doing that a few times each month. Now in Cricut Design Space, one of the first projects I designed myself was a growth chart. And this was many years ago before people were sharing their projects with others. So I spent hours making sure this growth chart was perfect, that all my lines were spaced out perfectly. And I really love this project. One thing I could not do was save this as an SVG file to my computer. I could save my file within Design Space, but I could not save it to my computer. I could not put this design that I had made into another program unless I were to screenshot it, but then it wouldn't be saved as an SVG file. So that's one of the downsides of Design Space, whether you're using the free version or Cricut Access subscription. You cannot save the files that you have created in Design Space outside of Design Space. So if you want to bring that design into Photoshop or even into Canva, you would not be able to do that. Now, Canva is different. So when you create a design in Canva, you can download that design in whatever format you want to your computer. So if you created an image, you could download that as a PDF, you could download that as a JPEG, and if you have the Canva Pro subscription, you could also download it as an SVG. Now, personally, I don't often use Canva to download my files as an SVG, and I'm going to show you why. Because it may not be as smooth as a process as you think. So I'm in Canva, I'm going to head over to Elements and type in the word dog, and then we're going to import some cute little puppies here. Let's grab this guy. And because Canva won't let you download your images unless you have more than one element on the page, we definitely have to add a second one here. So you can scroll through the doggies here and pick whichever one you want. This one looks cute. Let's grab him. Aw. Okay, so we have two puppies here. And now we want to download these puppies to our computer. It's something you can't do with Cricut Design Space at all, but you can do this with Canva. So you go up to Share and then click on Download. So now we have different options here. You can save this as a JPEG, a PNG, a PDF, PDF print, and an SVG. But you'll notice beside SVG, there's a little crown, which means this is a Canva Pro feature. So if you don't have Canva Pro, you would not be able to convert this image to an SVG when you download it. So I'm going to download this as an SVG so that you can see what happens when I re-upload this to Design Space. So I'm clicking on SVG. I'm also going to make sure I have a transparent background. And as you can see as well, it has the Canva Pro symbol there, that little crown. So if you want to ever save something with a transparent background, you do need the Pro version for this. So we're going to click on that little box and then click on Download. Now, before I click on Download, right before Download, it says you're saving $2.78 Canadian. So if I didn't have Canva Pro, that's probably how much these images would cost. In Cricut Design Space, the same thing. If you see images that are part of the Cricut Access subscription, it will tell you how much those images cost you individually. So I'm going to click on Download. So now this project has been saved to Canva. So I can open up this project again in Canva, but I've also downloaded my finished project directly to my computer. So now let's open up Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to head over to Upload and then click on Upload Image and go over to the Downloads folder on my computer and drag and drop that image into Design Space. Okay, something's going on with Design Space here because I've never had a black box over one of my images before. Okay, that is really odd. But I'm going to save this anyways. I'm going to delete that black box and we'll go from there. So I'm going to press Continue. All right, you can save a name if you want. I'm not going to do any of that right now, but you can if you want. I'm going to click on Upload. All right, I don't know why I have this black box there. That is just bizarre. So let's go over to the layers panel here, and everything is currently grouped together, and look at all those layers. There are so many layers there. And that's what I don't like, saving things as an SVG from Canva, because you just get so many layers that it's overwhelming. Let's ungroup everything here. So go up to the top, click on ungroup. So now here's all our layers, but we're deleting this box. I don't know why that puppy turned into a box. That is just so weird, but I'm gonna show you this anyways. So here's our dog, and he's got lots of layers, and you can see his black eye here is not grouped together with the black outline or with his other eye or with his nose. They are all separate layers. So if you wanted to attach all the same color of the layers together, that would take you such a long time. You'd have to go over to the layers panel, click on each black layer. So click on the first one, then click on shift on your keyboard and click the next one and the next black layer, and keep going through all these black layers, and there are a lot. Then go to the bottom and click attach. So now all of our black layers are attached here, which is nice, and that's what we want. But there's all these extra steps. Then you would have to do that for the one orange layer and then the other orange layer, which can be a lot of work. And now this layer went to the front of our puppy, but you could go up to the top and go arrange, send to back, and there we go there. You get the idea. There's just so much more work involved when converting an image to an SVG from Canva and then having to upload it into Design Space, when you could just go over to images in Design Space. And look, we've got a whole pile of dogs here. Design Space knew I had inserted a dog on my page and already knew what I was thinking. But if you don't have dogs popping up here, you can just type in dogs in the search bar and you'll get a pile here. You can even go over to advanced search and look at all the dog images here. You can use your filters and filter out your images. Let's grab this guy here. He looks like he's multiple layers, and we're gonna add him to the canvas. And let's view our canvas again. So let's go back up to the layers panel. So our dog is grouped together. So we press that little arrow beside him in the layers panel. You'll see we have far fewer layers. There are lots of layers like before, but not near as many. And all the colors that we're using are already attached together. So we can ungroup our dog here. And so we've got our black layer. It's already all put together. We don't need to do anything. And the brown layer is all attached together. So if you wanted to turn this into a vinyl decal, or you wanted to cut this out with HDV and put it on a shirt, it's already in the format you need it for your Cricut machine, which is awesome. So that's what I love about Cricut Access. Everything here is made to be used with your Cricut machine, so you don't have to go searching in other places to find what you want, because there are just so many images in their image library, and they keep adding more and more and more, and there's more artists, more variety. And so I'm finding the longer I've had Cricut Access, I just keep getting more and more out of it, and I love that. So that's the reason why I like Cricut Access better. Now, why do I like Canva better? Let me get into that. So what I use Canva more for when it comes to crafting is sublimation projects, stickers, when I'm printing out a whole image rather than using it for SVGs. So I don't really use it a lot for vinyl decals. I'll use Cricut Access for that. And the reason for that is I just find Canva has a larger variety of good quality printable images, more so than Cricut, just because Cricut Design Space is more focused on your Cricut machine and cutting out vinyl decals, whereas Canva's focus seems to be more on digital projects and printable projects. And then I also use Canva for other things as well that aren't crafting, such as making the thumbnails that you see for my videos. Now, if you're not interested in all those extras that Canva offers, and you're not really into sublimation or any extra crafts, you just want to craft with your Cricut, but you do want a good subscription, in that case, I definitely would recommend the Cricut Access subscription. However, if you're doing a variety of crafts, you're using your Cricut machine every day, you're getting into sublimation, you're getting into creating stickers, and you're using this like all the time, the subscriptions are definitely worth it. These are my favorite subscriptions, and I have so much fun using them. However, if you're not crafting very often, you just take it out maybe once in a while, like just before Christmas when you're making a few gifts or something like that, it's probably not worth it to get the subscriptions. Or if you're still wondering if the Cricut Access subscription is the right subscription for you, go check out this video right here where I dive into a lot more details about the Cricut Access subscription, and hopefully that will help you out. I hope to see you on more crafting adventures.